Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Thank you, that was beautiful. Isn't this fun? I'm having so much fun already. I'm Dyer. Hi, and I'm here to talk about yogic chant in California. And that shouldn't start yet, by the way, if you could go back to the beginning. Not until the slide starts. Kind of bossy. No, I'm not ready to start yet, but he's bossier than I am, my husband. He's telling me hit the bar. So when I first started to dig into this project, I noticed that I was listed as Ann Dyer artist, and I wear a lot of hats, artist being one of them. And what I realized is if I'm going to speak to you as an artist, our work really is ourselves, which is kind of why we're accused of being so narcissistic. As artists, our work actually is ourself. And so in talking to you tonight about chanting in California, I thought the best thing I could do would be to tell you my story as a native Californian. And as I was preparing for this, I was looking at, well, it was actually a very interesting process. How did I get from being a kid in 1960s Orange County to standing here tonight talking to you, living a life that really revolves around ancient, esoteric, mystical, Indian sound practices? It's quite a leap. And as I was taking a look at that, I realized that really it's the same for all of us, that it was this meeting of who I am, who I came to the world as, my basic nature, my fundamental nature, and then this path of access that I found as a native Californian. And that if I had been born in another state, perhaps at another time, I wouldn't be standing here tonight. I wouldn't have the same life that I'm about to share with you. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of where we're going to go on this little journey. And now I will hit the bar, and the music can begin. This was my first yoga. My first mystical experience. As a little girl, I would go into the pool in our backyard, breathe out all my air, and lie on the bottom and look up at this crazy, fluorescent, glossy world of my childhood. And lying on the bottom of the pool, I would feel this peace. I would feel this mystical experience of being in another dimension. And it was that experience that really I kept following all my life. And one of the first points of access I had was discovering the Beatles at the age of 5. I got my first Beatles album, Meet the Beatles, and I discovered for the first time how possessed I could be by music and how transformative music was. And these points of access, whether it was an album, a book, a teacher, or a move, which happened to me when I was 10. My father went to Vietnam, and our family crossed the border to live in Mexico. And when I arrived in Mexico, like Alice falling down the rabbit hole, I discovered a world unlike anything I had ever known. in Orange County. It was a world of shadow and reverence, of singing praises, of daily devotion, of calling the name of Guadalupe in the streets. And I fell in love. I fell in love with this world. But eventually, we had to return to California. Only this time we came to San Francisco, and fortunately for me, as you can see by these two images, San Francisco at that time had a little more resonance with Mexico than my Orange County beginnings had. This is a poster from an event in Golden Gate Park with Allen Ginsberg. So the San Francisco we arrived in was starting to discover mysticism and starting to discover yogic chant. This was Allen Ginsberg chanting Om in Golden Gate Park. And of course, the Hare Krishnas were on every corner. Swami Muktananda was in Berkeley getting Americans to praise to Shiva. And Baba Haridas was in Mount Madonna. My first formal introduction to yoga was through the access of KQED, airing Lilius Yoga and You. So every day I would come home from high school, and Lilius and I would do yoga together. And by the time I answered namaste to her namaste, I was back on the bottom of the pool again. At that time, some of India's most famous musicians were coming to California. Ravi Shankar moved to Los Angeles. Ali Akbar Khan, pictured here, opened his school in San Rafael, and others came to follow, including Zakir Hussain. Another very important Indian musician who came to the Bay Area was Pandit Pran Nath. He took up a residency in Mills College. Here he is performing with Terry Riley on the left, who of course is one of the 20th century's most famous composers. As a young dance major at Mills College, I had my very first singing lesson with Terry Riley, my very first in my life. I did not become a dancer. I became a singer, actually, when I left college. And in my music, I was always searching for that bottom of the pool feeling, that sort of transcendent dimension through music. And I was blessed to be in the Bay Area at a time when I had amazing musicians who would go on that journey with me. Eventually, I was invited to go to India to sing at the Mumbai Jazz Festival. And while I was in India, I started really studying classical Indian voice for the first time, seriously. When I returned to the Bay Area from India, I had two great teachers who had also come to live here, Shweta Javeri and Mukesh Desai. Mukesh Desai introduced me to Nad Yoga, the yoga of sound. And I was desperately looking for more information when I found this book. Again, Access. Shambhala Press in Berkeley published this book, a book you wouldn't find. And it was another portal. I was taking this information and these sounds and these experiences and trying to create music out of them. And I was, again, fortunate enough that there were presenters in the Bay Area who wanted to present that kind of experimental music. This was at Grace Cathedral at the San Francisco Jazz Festival's Sacred Space concert. At the same time I was experimenting, there were other musicians like Jai Uttal, Chebi Sabah, who were taking yogic devotional music, classical Indian music, into clubs, into yoga studios, and creating a huge following that gave rise to Bhakti Fest, which is this photo, and Wanderlust. And so the yoga community was just, I can't even find the word, it was just exploding with popularity and with curiosity. So I had a community then who was interested in learning these techniques and sound, and I began to teach. And what I found as I started sharing these lessons with people is two things. One, that there was a yearning for this expression, and two, the beauty of what I call the everyday voice, the absolute stunning beauty of the everyday voice. And during this time when I was doing a lot of teaching, the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts here in San Francisco approached me with a commission to create a concert. Vak, Song of Becoming, was devoted to the Indian goddess Vak, who brings the world into being through sound. And through this project, the Vak Choir was born. And we were able to take this music and these lessons out of the yoga studio to the general public. And as you can see by this photo of the performance, I was once again at the bottom of the pool, but now a lot of people had come to join me. And so the Vak Choir continues through workshops in experiential sound and performances. And we've been asked to come here to the Asian Art Museum to do a performance on April 3rd as part of this incredible exhibition, Yoga, the Art of Transformation. And I hope that all of you will come join all of us at the bottom of the pool on April 3rd. Thank you very much.